Hello teacher and hello everyone. So today our group will be presenting about Village by the Sea chapter 8 and we are from group 1 and our group has 6 members which are Panhapech, Sun Panharith, Sun Kim Lee, Tri Panhapech, Pao Seangly and me Chim Kun. So first let's take a look at our content. The first point is summary which will be presented by Pao Seangly. The second point is character analysis, which will be presented by Sun Panharith. The third point is theme analysis and main messages, which will be presented by Tri Panhapech and Sun Kim Lee. And the fourth point is connection between studied text and real life, which will be presented by me, Chim Kun and Panhapech. So let's jump to our presentation.
Good evening teachers and everyone, I'm Seangly and I am responsible for the summary part. And for this chapter 8, it is begin at the Sri Krishna eating house. After waking up and having a meal, Hari go to the owner and said, "Sir, I have no money to pay for all the meal you are giving me. Will you let me work in your kitchen instead?" After a little thought, okay. You can work here for your meal and ₹1 a day like other boy, okay? Harry started working with other two boys without speaking to each other due to the different languages. When Harry came to dump the garbage on the roadside, the man stood at the corner and asked Harry, "New to the city?" "Yes, sir. Jagu's village?" I'm from Tulsa. There was a watchman at a big building on a hill brought me here to eat, and I had to stay here for work. I see. Another boy who came to Jagu for help. He started talk about the orphan who Jagu helped provide them food, shelter, and work too. And Harry thought, orphan? I don't want to be thought of another orphan in Jagu's care. Mr. Powler, can you tell me where the post office is? Remember you had someone to write to? Yes, you must write. Mr. Powler lent Harry some money to buy the postcard. Harry wrote his name on the postcard, but not his address. He feeling both happy and frightened because this means that he will be staying in Bombay, not going home. The Silver is going to stay in Tool for 4 nights for their holiday. Leela, Kemba, Bella come and help carry in their luggage. The rest of the family sitting off down the beach for a swim, they're laughing and playing together. Look at them. Is this what they come all the way here for? They can bath at home comfortably. They're really mad. That's what they are mad. Stupid. Tell me all you need. Tell me all you want. I'll go shopping in Alibaba today. After hearing this, Leela darted out from the kitchen and asked what she had made up her mind. Excuse me, sir. Can you take my mother to the hospital in Alibaba? She had been so ill and there are no doctor or hospital here, sir. Huh? Why didn't tell me? Go and feed your mother. I bring her to the hospital. Wait here. I'll go to speak with the doctor. After that, Leela's mother was taken to the doctor and had to stay here for a few days to get some tests on her. Where's your mother gone? Where's your mother? I took her to the hospital in Alibaba. How dare you? Why did you send her away without asking me? What made you think you came and next thing? Go to cook some food. I will take you to her. But, father, the nurse will look after her there. Shut up! Don't talk to me back. Go to get some food. I can't leave her alone like this. Father, what is the Kaneka brothers come again to ask for money? Money what? I owe no one money. I will stop by their house and pay them. Curse them. I will tell Harry to look after you. In the next morning, Mr. De Silva took Leela to visit her mother. Leela noticed that her father did not smile at Toddy. He looked so grey and old, and when that for the first time, she felt sorry for him. Mr. De Silva collected a report from the doctor and explained to Leila about her mother's condition, that she is suffering from anemia, and her mother has to stay in the hospital a little bit longer, and father will stay there to look after his wife. But sir, you will leave here soon. About that, don't worry. My friend will come doing his study. He is a strange fellow but a nice guy. You can work for him and get paid. Bella and Kamar were standing and waving the yellow card and screaming, "There's a postcard from Harry!" Huh? From Harry? The summary of the chapter has come to an end, and for another part, which is about the character analysis, will be presented by Panharith.
Good evening, teacher, and good evening, everybody. My name is Panharith, and I am responsible for the character analysis part in this presentation. So, in the 8th chapter of the Village of the Sea, there are 12 different characters, with some having significant roles and others having minor roles. And the characters in this chapter are Harry, Jagu, the two orphans, the old watchmaker, Laila, Bella and Kemal, the cook, Mr. and Mrs. De Silva, and Laila's father. However, since the time is limited, I will only do the character analysis of several major characters only. Firstly, let's start with Harry. In this chapter, Harry was taken to work with Jagu's shop called the Sri Krishna Eating House, and he was shown to be a hard-working person as he worked very hard in the restaurant under the intense heat until he had no strength left. His other personality trait is that he is a caring and honest person. On page 95, he was worried that his family would worry about him, so he decided to mail them a postcard since he didn't have any money. The old watchman would lend him some, and he promised to return it as soon as he is paid. Moving on to the watchmaker, a friendly man who initiated a conversation with Harry, who was by the time a lonely boy from the village, and he soon became the person that Harry could rely on the most. His other trait is that he is very generous. He was willing to lend Harry some money to buy a postcard even if he just met him. Let's move on to Laila, who is Harry's sister, and she is one of the good-natured characters in the story as well. In chapter 8, she is respectful toward others and very obedient to others' requests. Throughout the chapter, she has fulfilled other people's requests efficiently, such as orders from the cook and also advices from Mr. De Silva. She is also a proactive person, as shown in page 97, where she asked Mr. De Silva to bring her mother to receive treatment in Alibar without any hesitation. Turning the attention to Mr. De Silva, even though this character comes from a wealthy background, he showed a large amount of sympathy toward Laila's family and helped her family along the way as well. He and his friend were very worried when Laila told him about her mother's condition and immediately brought her to the hospital and arranged all of the necessary procedure for her. He also managed to give wage to Laila and her sister despite the fact that he already covered for their mother hospital bill. Mr. De Silva is also a trustworthy person, as shown in page 98 and 99, where he promised Laila that he will have her mother taken care of, and he also helped to calm her down during the situation too. So the last character to be analyzed is Laila's father. Since the beginning of the story, he was illustrated to be an aggressive man, and he was also shown in chapter 8 as he became very furious when he heard that his wife was taken away from him to be treated in the hospital. In order to relieve his anger, Laila's father smashed the earthenware in his house and made a lot of noise. So he is also inconsiderate toward his children, like shown in page 100, where he ordered Laila to make him food after yelling at her, left her and her sister alone in fear, and also asked strangers to look after them instead. However, despite the above mentioned bad personality that he has, he is also a very loyal person toward his wife, as he was very worried that his wife would look for him and look for his family at the hospital, and he is afraid that she might have no one to take care of her. So this is the end of the character analysis, and let's move on to the next point, which will be presented by my teammate.
Hello everyone, my name is Sun Kim Lee, and today I'm going to present you about the theme analysis. What is theme? Theme is defined as a main idea or an underlying meaning of a literary work which may be stated directly or indirectly. A theme is a universal idea, lessons, or message explored throughout the work of literature. One key characteristic of literary theme is their universality, which is to say that theme are ideas that not only apply to the specific character and even a book of or play, but also express broader truths about human experience that reader can apply to their own life. There are three main themes in this chapter. The first main theme is kindness. Kindness is a type of behavior marked by act of generosity, considerations, or concern for others without expecting praise or reward. Like in this chapter, we are talking about a young boy from a rural seaside who knows no one would be able to survive if it were not for the kindness of Harilo, Jagu, and Mr. Penwala. This individual have no obligations to Harry but see him in a struggling child who needs guardian. Through them they gain a job, money, a place to stay. For instance, for Mr. De Silva, he had taken Laila's mother to the hospital and paid for all the medicine fee. One more thing, he also offered Laila a job as servant at Mont Repos when his friend from Bombay come to stay there for a few months. And the other one is Jagu. Jagu has offered Harry a job for work in Sri Krishna eating house and shelter. And another one is Mr. Penwala. He has given some money to Harry to buy a postcard to send to his family, since they know that they come to the city alone without any relative there. The second theme is persistent. Persistent is the fact of continuing in an opinion or course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. In this chapter, Leela is the main character, show her courage and persistence to cope amidst misery. Harry, the only brother of three sisters, crowd to go to Bombay to earn his livelihood. The force which drives him to run away from his parents is poverty and misery. These both characters are looking for a way to survive and work so hard in the young age. For example, in the chapter when Harry awakes from his sleep, he has no idea what to do next, so he decides to ask Mr. Jagu to work in the kitchen, and he also has asked Jagu for a place to stay in Sri Krishna eating house since he has nowhere to go to. About Leela, he asked Mr. De Silva to help her mother by taking Leila's mother to the hospital, and she also asked Mr. De Silva for a job as a servant for his friend who will come to Mont Repos for a few months in order to survive. The last thing is talking about patriarchy. Patriarchy is a system of relationship, belief, and value embedded in political, social, and economic system that structure gender inequality between men and women. In this chapter, it have shown about power of men in the society that men are more powerful than women. Men are more responsible than women in the family, which everything are depend on men. So that men have obligations to guard the family and also powerful on designing something. For example, in the sense of Leela's father shouted to Leela that, "Why did you take her away without telling me? I will go to Aliba. Why do you know about anything? What made you think you can manage things? You can't." Because he thinks that Leela was a young kid, so he cannot do anything without asking him first.
After the different themes have been contemplated by Kim Lee, I, Tri Panhapech, will be presenting about the psychoanalytic criticism. Before getting into the actual essential details of the section, let's take a glance at the general overview of psychoanalytic criticism. There are some contemplates such as how the development of mentality of human occurs, how psychological development arises, how human mind basically works, why and how psychological issues are sparked off, and most importantly, how ID, ego and superego are represented. There's many distinct definitions of these, yet one may define psychoanalytic criticism as a literary criticism, which method and concepts used are influenced by the tradition of psychoanalysis. As said in the beginning, ID, ego, and superego are also the important subsections concerned in this topic as well. Without further ado, let's get into the concepts of ID. The ID is the instantive element of personality, consisting of the inherited components of personality present at birth, of which it impulsively and unconsciously responds to basic urges and desires. The ID is noted as pleasure principle, meaning that it tends to arouse the ones regardless of the time or circumstance. The ID tends to stick to natural logics. For instance, a baby cries when he is hungry, or he smiles or laughs when he is happy. The ID has been with us, humans, since the first second we came alive. Once ID has been perceived, the next element is ego. Ego is the part of the ID that has been diversified and shaped by the direct influential factor of the external environment as life goes on. Ego relies the actuality of current environment or the real circumstance that the person was, is, or will be in. Ego illustrates that the instant's desire from the ID must be put on hold so as the analysis to be made be decision by made. Last but not least, we have comes to the last component, which is superego. Superego is more moral and ethical element among the three of the subconscious. Superego has significant influence over the ID and the ego through more analytical judgment of action agent, what have been learned and experienced. According to the first, a healthy person has all the three components of mind, ID, ego, and superego balanced perfectly. According to one of the literatures that we have studied in class, The Village by the Sea, one of the main characters, Harry, seemed to have a characteristic and plot suitable for the concepts of the three elements to apply on. ID. Harry comes to Bombay for the desire to get a proper job introduced by De Silva. And about the ego, Harry analyzed between his instincts of wanting a proper job in Bombay and his real situation, where he is having no choices other than working in the restaurant. Once a conclusion has been reached, he decides to start working. And the last one is superego. Harry accepts the actuality and commits to his own self that he will try his best in doing his job in the restaurant so that he can support himself. This is for the psychoanalytic criticism. To continue the progress, let me welcome one of our teammates to cover the next crucial part. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. My name is Penh, and I'm going to describe about the analysis of the connection between studied text and real life. And here what I have learned from the studied text. The first one is about children's responsibilities. Second, life is struggle. Third is about homesickness. And the last one is the lack of education of country people. Now, we take a look about children's responsibilities. According to the story, Harry leaves his hometown to Bombay to find a job, which work in the kitchen of the Sri Krishna eating house in order to support his family. And his sister Laila also work as a sweepers and cleaner at their hometown to earn more money for family as well. Because their father is a drunken man and his mother is a sick person, so they could do nothing. Therefore, all children are responsible as pillar of family. We can reflect this point to our society. Nowadays, Some children, especially in a poor family, they sometimes have to work for their families, living life as a part-time worker while they are in school. And some might force themselves to drop school to work to support their family's finance. Now, we move to life struggle. Based on the story, during working at the Sri Krishna Eating House, the life there is not really easy and uncomfortable for Hari because he has to struggle with the situation that he has to work much time, so he is exhausted. But he doesn't sleep enough. He doesn't have a nice place to sleep, and it's boiling day and night at there. However, he doesn't give up trying, since his family really needs him. So, no matter what he is facing, he needs to work to earn money. Not only Harry, but also Lila. She has to look after her sick mother and drunken father. Moreover, she has to work to earn money even if she is still young. So, it's not easy for her. Looking into our real world, for example, a factory worker or a construction worker is not a well-paid job, and the job is really risky, and they need to use their workforce to exchange money. But because of financial problem or supporting their children for free tuition or their unemployed parents at hometown, they need to work even if it's such a hard work for them. And that's all for my part. For the rest of this part, I'm going to be presented by Brother Put. Thank you.
Greeting teacher and everyone, I am Viput and now I am going to continue talking about some important messages in the story Village by the Sea that can infer to real life situations. First, I'm going to talk about the point homesickness. In the story, when Hari arrived to Bombay, he got a job in Mr. Jagu's Sir Krishna Eating House. When he was working there, he got in touch with Mr. Panwala, who was the watch vendor. Mr. Panwala told Hari some stories related to the two boys who were working with him about how did they become orphans and worked in the eating house. Suddenly, Hari felt like he wanted to write a message to his family in Seoul by asking Mr. Panwala where the post office was. From his scenarios, we can say that Hari was feeling homesick after he left home for work. He also wanted to go back, but he had to earn money first to support his family. The scene is really similar to the real world, where most people from rural areas have to migrate to another city or another country to find jobs. They want to earn more money to support their family, hoping their life will be easier. During the process, most of the migrated people might feel homesick. They might miss their hometown, their loved ones, because they have to leave their comfort zones in order to find new jobs. And move to another point, which is about the lack of education for country people. In the story, Leela, who was the eldest sister in the family, had to look after her whole family. Her mother was sick and needed to be hospitalized. One day, when Mr. De Silva prepared to go shopping, Leela begged him to bring her mother to the hospital, since the hospital was around the market. Mr. De Silva could not refuse because it was where he was heading. When they arrived at the hospital, two men came and brought her mother inside. Leela could not understand the diagnosis or the words coming out of the doctor's mouth with Mr. De Silva. After the discussion with the doctor, Mr. De Silva explained to Leela in a simple terms, so Leela could understand because she lacks education. All the words she heard from the doctor were technical and medical words that she had never heard of. It can be inferred from the story that back in the day, people who lived in the country were mostly not well educated. And also for women, it was harder for them than men to learn anything because women usually stayed at home and kept in touch of matter related to the work in the house. As a result, most women could not understand anything related to the outside world, while men in the country might have more knowledge than women. To sum up, Chapter 8 has significantly reflects the life in the real world about the responsibilities of children, how challenging the life can be, what state of mental health when working far from home, and also the lack of education for country people back in the day. And this is the end of our presentation, and we will have a vocabulary games about this chapter after this presentation. And thank you for your attention, and sorry for any mistake that might occur during the presentation. Thank you.